18th Street Gang Overview. The 18th Street Gang, also known as Calle 18, Barrio 18, Mara 18, or simply 18, is a multi-ethnic, transnational criminal organization that started as a street gang in Los Angeles. Formed in the 1960s by Mexican Americans and other immigrant youths, it aimed to provide protection and a sense of community for marginalized youth in Los Angeles. Over time, the gang grew to comprise largely Central American and Mexican members, becoming one of the largest gangs of its kind in Los Angeles with an estimated 30,000 to 50,000 members across the United States, Mexico, and Central America. The 18th Street Gang is allied with the Mexican Mafia, another U.S.-based crime organization. According to the United States Department of Justice, the 18th Street Gang and its rival, MS-13, which was founded by Salvadoran immigrants fleeing the civil war in El Salvador during the 1980s, have contributed to making the Central American Northern Triangle one of the areas with the highest homicide rates in the world. History. The 18th Street Gang was formed in the 1960s in the Rampart district of Los Angeles by Mexican American and other immigrant youths who were not accepted into existing Hispanic gangs. Initially part of Clanton 14, they proposed creating a separate clique called Clanton 18th Street to include immigrant members. This proposal was rejected, leading to the formation of the 18th Street Gang and a lasting rivalry with Clanton 14. The gang expanded its membership to other nationalities and races, making it one of the first multiracial, multi-ethnic gangs in Los Angeles. As the 18th Street Gang clashed with more established Hispanic gangs, it began recruiting outside the Hispanic community. There are approximately 200 autonomous gangs operating under the 18th Street name in various parts of Southern California and beyond. Central American expansion. Originally a Mexican-American gang, 18th Street increasingly recruited Central American members. When these members were arrested in the U.S. and deported, the gang's presence grew in Central America, particularly in El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, becoming one of the most violent gangs in the region. The gang became a significant rival to MS-13 as both sought dominance in Central America. Recently, 18th Street influences have also been reported in Belize. 18th Street Gang. Rivalry with MS-13. The rivalry between the 18th Street Gang, Calle 18 or Barrio 18, and MS-13, Mara Salvatrucha, is one of the most violent and enduring gang conflicts in the Americas. This feud, which began in Los Angeles, has since spread throughout the United States and Central America, leaving a trail of violence and instability in its wake. Competition and conflict. The rivalry between 18th Street and MS-13 stems from several factors. 1. Territorial disputes. Both gangs sought control over the same neighborhoods and territories in Los Angeles. These territorial disputes often led to violent confrontations as each gang tried to assert dominance. Control of these areas meant access to drug trafficking routes, extortion operations, and other criminal enterprises. 2. Recruitment. As both gangs grew, they competed for new members. This competition often turned violent as each gang sought to maintain or increase its numbers and influence. The recruitment process involved not only enticing new members but also instilling loyalty, often through violent initiation rites. 3. Cultural and ethnic tensions. Although both gangs have multi-ethnic memberships, their roots in different immigrant communities, Mexican and Central American, have contributed to underlying cultural tensions and rivalries. This cultural divide has fueled hostility, as members of each gang often harbor deep-seated resentments toward the other's background and perceived encroachments. Spread to Central America. The rivalry between 18th Street and MS-13 intensified as both gangs expanded their operations to Central America, particularly in El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. The deportation of gang members from the United States to these countries in the 1990s and 2000s helped to transplant and exacerbate the conflict. 1. El Salvador. In El Salvador, both gangs established strong footholds and became involved in violent battles for control over neighborhoods and criminal enterprises. The power struggle between these gangs has been particularly brutal, with frequent shootings, stabbings, and other forms of violence. 2. Honduras and Guatemala. Similar patterns of violence and competition emerged in Honduras and Guatemala, with both gangs vying for control over drug trafficking routes, extortion operations, and local territories. The instability created by these gangs has significantly impacted local communities, contributing to some of the highest homicide rates in the world. Impact of the rivalry. The conflict between 18th Street and MS-13 has had devastating consequences. 1. High homicide rates. The rivalry has contributed significantly to the high levels of violence and homicide rates in Central America, particularly in the Northern Triangle countries of El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. The pervasive presence of these gangs has made everyday life perilous for many residents. 2. Public insecurity. The ongoing violence between the gangs has led to widespread fear and insecurity among local populations, impacting daily life and economic stability. Businesses often face extortion threats, and civilians live in constant fear of becoming collateral damage in gang-related violence. 3. Law enforcement challenges. The pervasive influence and violent tactics of both gangs have presented significant challenges for law enforcement agencies in both the United States and Central America. Efforts to combat gang violence have often led to large-scale crackdowns and mass arrests, but with mixed results. The gang's ability to adapt and regroup has often rendered these measures only temporarily effective. Efforts at peace. There have been sporadic attempts to broker peace between 18th Street and MS-13, particularly in Central America. These attempts have included 1. Gang truces. In 2012, a temporary truce was brokered between the two gangs in El Salvador, leading to a short-term reduction in violence. However, the truce eventually collapsed, and violence resumed. Such truces highlight the potential for peace but also the difficulty in maintaining it. 2. Government initiatives. Various governments have implemented programs aimed at reducing gang violence, including social programs to address the root causes of gang involvement, such as poverty and lack of opportunities. These initiatives focus on providing education, employment opportunities, and social support to at-risk youth to deter them from joining gangs. The rivalry between the 18th Street Gang and MS-13 is one of the most significant and violent gang conflicts in recent history. Rooted in territorial disputes and cultural tensions, this rivalry has expanded from the streets of Los Angeles to the entire Central American region, leading to widespread violence and instability. Addressing this conflict requires comprehensive strategies that include law enforcement efforts and social interventions to address the underlying issues driving gang membership and violence. Split of the 18th Street Gang in El Salvador. In El Salvador, the 18th Street Gang, also known as Calle 18 or Barrio 18, experienced a significant split in 2005, dividing into two factions: the Revolucionarios, revolutionaries, and the Sureños, Southerners. This division added a new layer of complexity and violence to the already volatile gang landscape in the region. Background. The 18th Street Gang originated in Los Angeles but expanded to Central America, including El Salvador, due to the deportation of gang members from the United States. As the gang established itself in El Salvador, internal disagreements and power struggles began to surface, leading to the eventual split. The split in 2005 resulted in two distinct factions. 1. Revolucionarios, revolutionaries. This faction sought to implement changes and reforms within the gang's structure and operations. The Revolucionarios aimed to distance themselves from certain traditional practices and sought a more progressive approach to their activities and internal governance. 2. Sureños, Southerners. The Sureños faction, on the other hand, adhered to more traditional and conservative values within the gang. They resisted the changes proposed by the Revolucionarios and maintained a strong allegiance to the gang's original codes and practices. Causes of the split. Several factors contributed to the split between the Revolucionarios and the Sureños. 1. Ideological differences. Divergent views on how the gang should be run and its future direction led to disagreements. The revolucionarios wanted to modernize and possibly expand their activities, while the Sureños preferred to stick to the gang's established methods and hierarchies. 2. Power struggles. Leadership disputes and struggles for control over the gang's operations and territories further fueled the split. Key leaders within the gang found themselves at odds over decision-making and resource distribution. 3. Territorial control. The desire to control specific territories and criminal enterprises led to friction between the factions. Each faction sought to assert dominance over lucrative areas and activities, such as extortion, drug trafficking, and other illicit businesses. Consequences of the split. The division of the 18th Street Gang into the Revolucionarios and Sureños had several significant impacts. 1. Increased violence. The rivalry between the two factions led to increased violence and bloodshed. Clashes between the Revolucionarios and the Sureños became common, contributing to the already high levels of gang-related violence in El Salvador. 2. Fragmentation. The split resulted in the fragmentation of the gang, with each faction operating independently. This fragmentation complicated efforts by law enforcement and other authorities to combat gang activities effectively. 3. Territorial disputes. The rivalry over control of territories and criminal enterprises intensified, leading to frequent and violent confrontations. These disputes created instability and fear among local communities. 4. Influence on other gangs. The split within the 18th Street Gang influenced other gangs and criminal organizations in the region. The dynamics of gang alliances and rivalries were affected, leading to shifts in the broader gang landscape. Current situation. Today, the Revolucionarios and Sureños remain bitter rivals, with ongoing conflicts and competition for dominance in El Salvador and other parts of Central America. Efforts to address the violence and instability caused by the gang's activities continue to be a major challenge for governments and communities in the region. Further details. Origins of internal conflict. The internal conflicts within the 18th Street Gang in El Salvador were not sudden but evolved over years of internal dissension. Members deported from the United States brought with them different ideas about leadership and gang operations, leading to friction. Younger members of the gang, inspired by the changing dynamics of organized crime, sought reforms to make the gang more efficient and less reliant on traditional hierarchies. External pressures. The Salvadoran government's aggressive anti-gang policies, including the so-called mano dura, iron fist approaches, exacerbated tensions within the 18th Street Gang. Crackdowns and mass incarcerations created a power vacuum and intensified the struggle for leadership within the gang. The overcrowded prisons became breeding grounds for new alliances and conflicts, accelerating the split. Evolution of factions. 1. Revolucionarios, revolutionaries, leadership structure. This faction adopted a more decentralized leadership structure, allowing for greater flexibility and autonomy among local leaders. Operational changes. They introduced new methods of extortion and drug trafficking, leveraging modern technology and networks to enhance their operations. Community relations. The Revolucionarios attempted to build better relations with local communities to create a more sustainable base of support, sometimes engaging in community projects or offering protection services. 2. Sureños, Southerners, traditional hierarchies. The Sureños maintain a strict hierarchical structure, emphasizing loyalty and adherence to long-established gang codes. Conservative operations. Their operations continued to follow traditional patterns, focusing on established extortion and trafficking methods. Strict discipline. The Sureños enforced discipline through harsh measures, ensuring that members adhered to their rules and customs. Impact on regional stability. The split significantly impacted the broader stability of El Salvador and its neighbors. 1. Cross-border crime. Both factions of the 18th Street Gang expanded their operations beyond El Salvador, establishing networks in neighboring countries and increasing regional crime rates. 2. Humanitarian impact. The violence and instability caused by gang conflicts have led to mass displacement, with many Salvadorans fleeing to the United States and other countries to escape gang violence. 3. Economic consequences. The pervasive gang violence has deterred investment and hindered economic development in the region, trapping communities in cycles of poverty and crime. Efforts to mitigate the conflict. 1. International cooperation. Efforts by international bodies and neighboring countries to tackle the gang problem include intelligence sharing, joint law enforcement operations, and coordinated anti-gang initiatives. 2. Community programs. Various NGOs and community organizations have implemented programs aimed at providing alternatives to gang membership, such as vocational training, education, and social services for at-risk youth. 3. Policy reforms. There is an ongoing debate about the effectiveness of punitive measures versus rehabilitative approaches in addressing gang violence. Some policymakers advocate for a more balanced approach that includes both law enforcement and social interventions. The split of the 18th Street Gang into the Revolucionarios and Serranos in 2005 marked a significant turning point in the gang's history in El Salvador. This division has led to increased violence, fragmentation, and territorial disputes, further complicating efforts to address the gang-related challenges in the region. Comprehensive strategies that include law enforcement, social interventions, and regional cooperation are crucial to mitigating the impact of this split and fostering stability in Central America. Location and organization. The majority of 18th Street cliques operate in Southern California but are active in 44 cities across 20 U.S. states and internationally in countries such as Australia, Canada, England, France, Germany, Lebanon, Peru, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Venezuela. Organizational structure. The gang's organizational structure varies by location. Typically, leadership consists of palabreros or leaders, many of whom operate from prison. The gang also includes collaborators who assist with small tasks. Another structure used by Barrio 18 includes toros, leaders, homies, clique leaders, and soldadas, soldiers. The gang is horizontally organized, allowing decentralized operations. Women can join the gang but face harsh treatment and are expected to undertake both violent and nurturing roles. Culture and criminal activity. 18th Street members adhere to strict rules, with violations often resulting in beatings or execution. The gang identifies itself with the number 18 and uses symbols like 15-3, 18, x8, 666, 99, and 3 dots in graffiti and tattoos. Members frequently wear blue and black clothing, representing their allegiance to the Mexican Mafia and the gang's original colors. Criminal activities. The gang is involved in various criminal activities, including 1. Drug distribution. Members are heavily involved in the distribution of cocaine, marijuana, heroin, and methamphetamine, often facilitated by their alliance with the Mexican Mafia. 2. Auto theft and carjacking. The gang is known for stealing vehicles for resale or use in other crimes. 3. Drive-by shootings. These violent acts are often used to intimidate rivals and enforce territorial control. 4. Extortion and robbery. Businesses and individuals are frequently targeted for protection money, and the gang conducts armed robberies. 5. Assault and homicide. Violence is a key component of their operations, used to maintain control and discipline within the gang. 18th Street Gang. Association with the Mexican Mafia. The 18th Street Gang, also known as Calle 18, Barrio 18, or simply 18, has a notable and complex association with the Mexican Mafia, also known as LAIM. This relationship has played a significant role in the operations, structure, and influence of the 18th Street Gang. Historical context. The Mexican Mafia, a powerful prison gang, emerged in the California prison system in the late 1950s and early 1960s. As the Mexican Mafia grew in power, they began to exert influence over various street gangs in California, including the 18th Street Gang, which formed in the Rampart district of Los Angeles during the 1960s. Influence and protection. The association between the 18th Street Gang and the Mexican Mafia has provided mutual benefits. 1. Protection in prison. Members of the 18th Street Gang receive protection from the Mexican Mafia while incarcerated. This protection is crucial in the violent and often dangerous environment of the prison system. 2. Organizational structure. The Mexican Mafia has helped to impose a level of organization and discipline within the 18th Street Gang. This structure has facilitated the gang's criminal activities both inside and outside of prison. 3. Influence and expansion. The Mexican Mafia's influence has helped the 18th Street Gang to expand its operations and territories. This expansion has allowed the gang to grow into one of the largest transnational criminal organizations, with tens of thousands of members across the United States, Mexico, and Central America. Criminal activities. The collaboration between the 18th Street Gang and the Mexican Mafia extends to various criminal enterprises. 1. Drug trafficking. The Mexican Mafia's connections in the drug trade have facilitated the 18th Street Gang's involvement in the distribution of cocaine, marijuana, heroin, and methamphetamine. 2. Extortion and protection rackets. The Mexican Mafia often directs extortion activities within the prison system, and the 18th Street Gang assists in these operations on the streets. Businesses and individuals are frequently targeted for protection money. 3. Violence and enforcement. The 18th Street Gang enforces the Mexican Mafia's rules and orders, both in prison and on the streets. This enforcement often involves violent acts, including assaults and homicides, conflicts and rivalries. Despite their alliance, the relationship between the 18th Street Gang and the Mexican Mafia is not without tension. Rivalries and conflicts can arise over control of territories and criminal activities. However, the overall relationship has remained one of cooperation and mutual benefit, driven by the need for protection and the pursuit of criminal profits. The association between the 18th Street Gang and the Mexican Mafia has significantly shaped the gang's development and operations. This relationship has provided the 18th Street Gang with protection, organizational support, and opportunities for expansion, while also contributing to their involvement in a wide range of criminal activities. The influence of the Mexican Mafia remains a critical factor in the ongoing impact and persistence of the 18th Street Gang. Notable incidents. The 18th Street Gang has been involved in various high-profile crimes, including kidnapping and murder. The gang was involved in the kidnapping and murder of Wilson Palacios' brother in Honduras, demonstrating their reach and willingness to engage in violent acts. Officer Filbert Cuesta. The fatal shooting of Officer Filbert Cuesta in Los Angeles in 1998 highlighted the gang's violent nature and its willingness to confront law enforcement. Kingston, New York. The abduction and murder of a victim, resulting in federal murder and racketeering charges, underscored the gang's expansion and involvement in serious crimes across the country. Queens Subway Station. The fatal shooting of an 18th Street gangster by a member of MS-13 in 2019 illustrated the ongoing violent rivalries between major gangs. Guatemala City. The frequent killing of bus drivers by gang members in extortion-related incidents showed the gang's brutal tactics to enforce their control and intimidate local communities. Overall, the 18th Street Gang remains a significant criminal organization with a vast and violent reach, posing ongoing challenges to law enforcement and communities alike. Their complex organizational structure, international presence, and association with the Mexican Mafia continue to facilitate their involvement in a wide range of criminal activities, contributing to their enduring influence and threat.